Welcome back, Royal Sussex Squad family. Today we have a powerful, eye-opening deep dive that goes straight to the heart of everything we've been saying, and thank you so much for choosing Royal Sussex Squad TV, the home of strength, clarity and truth in a sea of noise. Before we dive into today's explosive deep dive, take a moment to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like this video, and share it with your friends, family, and every Sussex supporter around the world. And of course, if you want to keep supporting the channel and lifting up this movement, bless us through super thanks. Your love, your power, your support are what keep this community thriving and unshakably loyal to Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan. Now settle in, because this story is one the press did not want you to understand clearly. But we're going to break it down in a way only Royal Sussex Squad can. Let's talk about what really happened with Prince Harry's deeply meaningful trip to Canada, a trip tied to remembrance, reflection, and honouring the military community that shaped him. A trip that any decent, honest person would recognise as a continuation of Harry's lifelong dedication to veterans and service. Instead of celebrating this powerful act, instead of praising a man who continues to uplift those who served, the palace machinery and their media foot soldiers churned out yet another round of manufactured drama. Another attempt to twist a noble gesture into a scandal. Another excuse to drag Harry and, by extension, Duchess Meghan. Because every time Harry shines, every time Meghan Sussex stands beside him with grace, intelligence and calm strength, the institution panics. The entire narrative started with one simple claim. Harry's team said they informed the palace as a courtesy. And let's pause on that word, courtesy. Because that tells you everything you need to know. Prince Harry didn't have to tell them a thing. He is not a working royal. He is not on their payroll. And they have made it abundantly clear, repeatedly, that they want nothing to do with him publicly unless they can use him as a prop. Yet still, his team showed basic decency, basic etiquette, basic respect. They said, "We informed the palace." But without fail, palace aides, those anonymous whisperers who hide behind royal sources, ran to the Times to claim they never received the message. And right there, the familiar pattern emerges. The pattern we've seen for years. The palace narrative is always, Harry is the problem. Harry is the one who doesn't communicate. Harry is the one who doesn't follow protocol. Harry is the one who misunderstands. But ask yourself, how many times have palace courtiers briefed against him? How many times have leaks come out specifically designed to humiliate or undermine him? How many times have they played these shadow games? They want the world to believe there was a breakdown in communication. But the truth is, the palace has a breakdown every time Harry does anything that reminds the public of his purpose, his compassion, and his impact. They desperately need the world to think Harry is floundering when in reality he is thriving. They need people to assume Harry is isolated when in truth he is grounded, stable, fulfilled, and supported by a woman, Meghan Sussex, who sees him, loves him, and stands with him. The palace wasn't confused, they were caught off guard. They weren't perplexed, they were irritated. They weren't sad, they were scrambling to reassert control over a man who simply cannot be controlled anymore. That's the real story. While Prince William was somewhere in Brazil doing controlled, curated appearances, Prince Harry was in Canada engaging with real people, real veterans and real communities. He met soldiers from the Queen's Own Rifles of Canada, an institution linked to Queen Camilla. He met troops from the Royal Regiment of Canada, a unit the King himself has been connected to for decades. Harry uplifted their legacies, honoured their service and brought global attention to remembrance. So how does the palace respond? Not with gratitude, not with appreciation, not even with silence. No, they respond with denials and whispers meant to discredit Harry's integrity. It's always the same system, the same games, the same strategy. And of course, as soon as Harry receives positive press for his heartfelt engagements in Canada, the narrative suddenly shifts to something entirely different. Because the anti-Sussex industrial complex cannot allow Harry and Duchess Meghan to have a moment of peace, love, joy, or positive recognition without twisting it into something negative. Suddenly, out of nowhere, photos emerge on social media of Harry and Meghan Sussex attending Kris Jenner's James Bond-themed 70th birthday party in Los Angeles. The couple looked relaxed, elegant, and genuinely happy. Meghan Sussex was glowing. Prince Harry was calm, grounded, and enjoying a night out with their friends. A normal evening for normal adults. Yet, to the tabloids, this somehow becomes scandal fuel. The British media acts as if Harry and Meghan attending a party, a private birthday party, is some kind of constitutional violation. They act as though Harry, who honoured the fallen earlier that week and who has been barred from participating in official UK remembrance ceremonies ever since the palace stripped him of his royal wreath-laying rights, was supposed to sit in a dark room and mourn for the cameras. The hypocrisy is nauseating. This is the same institution that refused to allow Harry to lay a wreath at the cenotaph after he stepped back from royal duties, even though he asked respectfully, privately and sincerely. They told him no. They made it political. They made it personal. And now those same voices want to complain that he attended a birthday party after honouring veterans in Canada. The twist gets even more absurd when reports claim the photos were deleted at the request of the Sussexes, only for other sources to claim that never happened. And why does that contradiction exist? Because the media thrives on confusion. They need chaos. They need conflicting stories. They need drama where none exists. That's how they keep Harry and Meghan Sussex at the centre of every conversation. This entire narrative is not about photos. It's not about communication. It's not about courtesy. It's about a system threatened by Harry's independence and terrified of Duchess Meghan's influence. It's about a structure unable to control the very man they built their brand on for decades. They know Harry's global popularity is steady. They know Meghan Sussex's impact is undeniable. They know their every step is watched and admired worldwide, and that fear comes through in every leak. They leak about letters Harry sends to the Home Secretary regarding his security. Why? Because they want the public to perceive him as demanding, unreasonable, difficult. They leak stories about a supposed framed photo he allegedly gave the king after a brief meeting. Why? Because they want the world to believe Harry is desperate for approval. They cannot allow him to exist peacefully. Every action is turned into a tabloid fragment. Every gesture becomes fodder for palace sources. And through it all, the late Queen's phrase, "recollections may vary," is once again dragged out like an old costume they refuse to retire. That phrase was always a weapon. It was crafted to undermine Duchess Meghan's truth during the Oprah interview. It was a shield for the institution. It was a tone-polished dismissal of lived experiences they never wanted the world to believe. So when palace insiders bring it back now, they reveal exactly who they are. They show their desperation. They expose how stuck they are in the past. Because Harry has moved forward, Meghan Sussex has moved forward, their children are thriving, their careers are flourishing, their projects are expanding, their lives are full of purpose, stability and joy. Meanwhile, the palace remains trapped in the same cycle. Leak, deny, brief, blame, repeat. Harry said he wants reconciliation, especially in light of the King's cancer diagnosis. He said he doesn't know how much time he has left with his father. That was a moment of honesty, of vulnerability, of humanity. And instead of meeting that humanity with grace, they responded with PR moves, with leaks, with whispers, with palace-approved articles meant to undermine him. Ask yourself, who is really sabotaging whom? Because Harry trying to build a bridge does not benefit the palace. A united royal family doesn't feed the media machine. Healing doesn't sell papers. Peace doesn't create chaos. And without chaos, the public might see how dysfunctional the institution truly is, and how unnecessary it may be. So, when Harry's team said certain palace staff were trying to sabotage his relationship with the king, they weren't wrong. They were simply telling the truth that every Sussex supporter has seen for years. The truth the world witnessed during the smear campaigns against Duchess Meghan. The truth behind the hateful commentary. The truth behind the leaks targeting their marriage. The truth behind the twisted narratives about their parenting. The truth behind every story that painted Meghan Sussex as a villain simply for existing. This is why stories like the Toronto communication dispute matter. Because they are part of a larger, ongoing pattern. A pattern of an institution threatened by transparency. Threatened by autonomy. Threatened by a prince who chose love. Threatened by a duchess who cannot be controlled, bullied or broken. Harry is not the problem. Meghan Sussex is not the problem. The problem is a palace system so invested in controlling narratives that they cannot tolerate Harry living his own life with dignity, joy and freedom. And here's the ultimate irony. Harry is more royal now than ever. Not because of titles, not because of ceremonies, but because of character, because of integrity, because of service, because of compassion, because of the way he shows up for veterans, for mental health advocacy, for his own family. And Duchess Meghan continues to stand firmly beside him with intelligence, grace, resilience and power. That is the real threat, because together they represent evolution. They represent modernity. They represent accountability. And they represent a new generation that refuses to be ruled by outdated systems. Thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex Squad TV. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe and join this powerful community of truth seekers and defenders of Harry and Meghan. Share this video widely, leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to support the channel through Super Thanks so we can continue exposing the lies and uplifting the Sussexes with the strength and love they deserve. Until next time, stay encouraged, stay informed, and stay loyal to the truth.